Hi friends, it's Olivia, and today I'm talking about the books that I have hauled recently and am currently reading. The books that I'm starting with though, I've actually already finished. So I finished Nothing But the Rain by Naomi Salman, which is a near future dystopia where there is something that has gone apocalyptically wrong with the water cycle. And so like what it means by the water cycle, and not just like there's something in the water, is that if water sits for long enough and it's not outside, then it's no longer an issue. Daisy has arrived. Daisy and Roland have arrived since the last time I recorded. So she's back to her old antics. It's a pretty like consistent tone all the way through. It's definitely like one of those books that I kind of was wanting something in this vein when I picked it up, knowing that it wasn't going to be like a 5-star read for me, but I love like a little novella that's just like an idea that's executed at least fairly well. And what's going on with the water is that it makes people forget. They lose their memory, their short-term memory at least, depending on like how much water exposure there's been. So the book is told through diary entries that the woman that we're following, her perspective, is keeping a diary to make sure that she doesn't forget anything. So I think I gave it like 4 stars. Definitely, like, if that sounds interesting and you're ever like, I just want something like fast to read that's going to be entertaining, then that's probably when you'll want to read this. I did pick it up from the librarian recommends section. So I think it is a book that people are like talking about. I saw, I believe, Books and Lala recently read it as well. So maybe it's going around, maybe I'm just out of the loop, but pretty good. I also read Weasels in the Attic by Hiroko Oyamada. I had already read The Hole in the Factory years ago and loved them, and at that time I'm pretty sure they were the only things that were translated into English so far, and so I just happened upon this at the library. I'd missed, I think it was 2021 that it was released, but I'd missed it. And yep, I wouldn't say like, I think The Hole in the Factory might have both been 5 stars for me, and this one was like a good 4. It didn't like bowl me over as much, but it still had like that quirky interactions, quirky situations. It's told through 3 meals between like this like small group of characters, and it's just, I read it because I already love the author, and so it's really about the writing style for me. And I love a quirky situation, not like something that's gonna stick with me forever, but I definitely always return to it, and I'm going to continue to read anything that's translated into English. So yeah, I recommend that one if you want a quirky little story. The next book was kindly sent to me by Text Publishing. They had something on their Instagram that was called a blind date with a book, and you could like, say which one, you wanted if you were a book content creator. And so this one was pitched as just like a multi-generational, translated fiction. And I think that's all I knew about it whenever I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. A Woman in Sardinia by Valeria Usala. I'm currently reading this one and really enjoying it so far. It's so far, it says that it's gonna be 3 generations, but so far I've only been introduced to 2 generations. And the eldest woman in this story so far, at least, had an affair, a relationship, when she was young with, she was working as a servant at this house and had an affair with this man. They had all these talks of like running off together, but then when she became pregnant, he married someone that was a better match per his family than her and just cut her off immediately. Like, didn't want anything to do with the child, like met the child, but then didn't do anything with it. And so now that's about where I'm at in the story. It's told non-chronologically, but that's the information I have so far. It's like now it's following her daughter, who's now an adult and still doesn't have contact with the father, to my knowledge at least. So yeah, really interested to keep going with that. So it was a good blind date pick. Maybe not something I would have like picked off the shelf for whatever reason. Maybe just because I like to alternate between like genre fiction and literary fiction, and I don't know. I'm glad that it got chosen for me. I also was like in the mood to pick out novellas at the library. If you notice, the two that I already showed were short. And I also picked up Loaded by Christos Tsiolkas. I'm not exactly sure. Should have looked up how to pronounce that. But it is set in suburban Melbourne and is about it says gay Greek man. I feel like in the story so far he's bisexual, or you know, at least has sex with not just men, but it's gonna be about the power of music and drugs, and I'm just really looking forward to getting more into this one. It would be my first book to have read by him, but I'm not too far into it, but I'm really gelling with the writing style. It's very modern. I don't want to say Dennis Cooper like, but like if I were gonna associate it with something, maybe that. So yeah, definitely that's an author I love, so looking forward to continuing to read this. What I'm most of the way through right now is a book that I am reading for my podcast. If you're not aware, that I'm co-host a podcast called No Cartridge Audio. I usually have the link down in the description, and No Cartridge is a podcast that has leftist leanings, sometimes explicitly talking about class philosophy. So sometimes, you know, there is a series where Trevor, you know, was going through Marx like chapter by chapter and explaining that to people who were interested. But now, instead of that book club, we have been doing a series called Gigi No Reread, which should be about like once a month, once every other month. And it's where we pick a game and a book and we talk about those things together in conversation. Some things that we've done before are Firewatch, a game about being on the lookout for forest fires, a narrative game with a constant hum, which was about Australian bushfires, about Black Summer, and you know, we've done like If on a Winter's Night a Traveler with the Stanley Parable, talking about these meta narratives. It's really fun. I love it, and I would love for people to join along with the book club and read what we're reading. So the next one that we'll be doing is Blackwater Sister by Zincho with Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghostwire Tokyo is a game that also revolves around ghost, set in Tokyo. And it is made by Tango, which was a studio that was recently shut down by Microsoft. But the game is incredible, and you don't get to play a ton of AAA games from and set in Japan. It's really, really interesting, really detailed, just a really beautiful game. So we'll be talking about that in conversation with Blackwater Sister, which is a Malaysian story, follows Jessamine, who goes by Jess, who is also being haunted by a ghost. The ghost in Ghostwire Tokyo, unknown to the person. She's being haunted by her grandmother, who you know, lives in her head, tells her things, is able to control her body, similar to in Ghostwire Tokyo that you see the ghost control his body for fighting purposes. And they both deal with gangs, and you know, it's gonna be really interesting. But this one is like, I just haven't read a fantasy in so long. And I really like this horror elements. Like, it's ghost, but it's not a horror book. Like, it's not spooky, it's not scary, it's just a fantasy with ghost in it. Has to deal with religion, with like the traditional religion and understanding gods, mixed with like some of her family members are Christian. This book is really good. I love just reading a plot. I haven't had a book like this in a while. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Looking forward to finishing it, and also looking forward to talking about it. So I'll leave a link again in the bio. Please follow along. There's a Discord. I would love to like actually have a book club there, and like if there's people interested, like having it go, you know, in discussions, either, you know, in sections or at the end, just having something else beyond just like recording the podcast and being done with that episode. So yeah, definitely let me know if you're interested in that. And then I haven't been reading horror, and I really haven't been reading as much lately. I've really been delving into a backlog of video games. I've been playing games a lot more than I had been, which is nice to reignite a love of games, just because it's been meaningful to me throughout my life, and finally back into it, have the attention span for it. So I haven't been reading as much, and I haven't been reading horror as much, but I just started The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Kiste, which is also a ghost story. And it was really well recommended. I don't remember exactly where I saw it recommended. It might have also been Books and Lala. But I'm looking forward to reading a horror story, and I really prefer reading in bed at night. Like, I've been trying to like read at least like 20-30 minutes in bed, but at night it's so much nicer to do on my Kobo rather than on my phone or having to hold open a paperback in bed. So I'm glad to have a Kobo book that I'm like looking forward to reading. But that's about it for me today. I just wanted to, these aren't all the books that I have out from the library right now, so kind of a book haul, kind of not, more like what I'm currently reading. But I didn't really care to just hold up books that I haven't started reading and have no thoughts about. So I will talk to y'all again soon. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I'm happy to answer basically anything. I love talking to people in the comments. So talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.